And today, folks, this is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. Well, I hope today finds you fine, healthy, and wealthy, and just. I tell you what, if you live in America today, and you've got another meal, you're a wealthy person, because in many countries there's not another meal on the table. But anyway, God is our God, and He has elected, and He did some 700 years ago, to give us this country called the United States of America. And it's a free country, and it's a blessed country. But our blessing came from God originally, and it still does come from God. If you're under a blessing, it's because you're following God. If you're not following God, even though you're living in a free country, you have a blessing in one big sense of the word, but you also have a cursing in one big sense of the word, because you're cursed because God is not your God. David in Psalm 27 said 10 things in one psalm that, let's read it. The Lord is my light. L-I-G-H-T, light. Do you know that's a precious thing, light? Have you ever had a real dark day? A day of total confusion, a day you was headed to the courthouse. I've had one of them myself, too, back in the days gone by, where you had to go before a magistrate and get a condemnation against you. It might cost you time behind bars. It might cost you money. But those are hard days and bad days. Those are days because you're not following the Lord. If you were following the Lord, those days won't come up. Now, He is my light. He is also my salvation. He is my salvation. Do you know I lived in 30 years without this salvation, and God came along and said, I'm beckoning you for the last time on this salvation thing, that you get it. This was at 3 o'clock in the morning, November 5th, 1972. I got it. And all right, so here we go on. Whom shall I fear? Do you know we don't have to fear the devil and the foes of the devil and the things of the devil? We don't have to fear the world. We've got the world God has given us this place to live. He gave it to us, and He said, look, my desire is that you have a good and prosperous life, but that you also promote me on a daily basis. I need to be promoted. I am God. I am the head, and the head needs to be promoted. The king needs to be honored. He is king, and he needs honor, and the honor needs to be to him. And I tell you what, you work on a football team, you got a coach, you better honor that coach, or you won't be working on that team. He's the head man. He requires honor. You dishonor that guy, and you'll find yourself on some other football team someday. Basketball, anything else that you got. You got a boss. You work in a cotton mill somewhere. You better honor your boss. You work somewhere else. You better honor your boss. Whatever you do, you need to honor those that are authority over you. And God is authority over everything, and He requires honor. And He said, the Lord is my life. How can the Lord be your life? He can be your life. If He comes in you, He desires all of your attention. He desires all of your emotion. He desires all of you. He's not going to come live in you and part of you. When He comes live in you, He comes live all the way. He's all in. For whom shall I be afraid? Now, a little while ago, He talked about fear. Now He's saying afraid. This is the beginning of fear, to become afraid of something. Have you ever had a fright and then become afraid? You're in the woods and you're walking and you're by yourself and it's night. You might be out there doing a little hunting or something, a coon hunting, and all of a sudden a fright comes on you and then turns into fear. Strength. He is my strength. He's the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? If I've got Jesus Christ in my heart and in my life, why should I be afraid of anything, or any time, or anywhere? I don't need to be afraid. I have Him in my heart. He said, when the wicked Even mine enemies and my foes came upon me to eat up my flesh. They stumbled and fell. Hey, if God's clearing the way for you, I used to live up north where the snowplow cleared the way so we could go to work in the morning. We'd wake up in the morning, be 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow on the road. Well, you couldn't drive out of the driveway in it because it got up underneath your car. So what they had to do is that old snowplow, you'd hear him come at 3 o'clock in the morning. Here he come, down over the hill, just to plow it. And he'd plow the road so you could get out in the morning and go to work. And that's the way the Lord is. He's plowing the way ahead for you and I, so you and I can walk in safety. Though a host should camp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing he said, one thing I have, and one thing have I desired of the Lord, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. Behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. Hey, that is not something you see earthly. This is a heavenly thing right now. God is not on the earth now in the sense of vision. I have a church that I'm a member of and I joined, and it represents God on earth. This church I go to represents God on earth, but that's not the temple that he's talking about. I am the temple he's talking about. This temple right here needs to be reverenced to God at all times. Needs to be reverenced to God at all times. I can tell you this. Well, we're in a sports world today. I can speak to many of you people today who even are Christians who know something about sports. And if there's a play called on a football field by a quarterback, and he's expecting that play call to affect the man that's going to receive the ball. Now he's going to be looking for that man to be where he said for him to be, so that he can put the ball to him where he told him to be. And if that man refuses to follow those plays, it's not long he's not on the team anymore. Do you think God's any different? Do you think if God says to me, Peter, I want you to do so-and-so, and I don't do it, do you think there's not going to be some repercussion of it? Why, of course there is. You say, but he's a loving and a merciful God. You go, yes, he is, but he's also a father that corrects. And he corrects B times. That means all the time he corrects. If he says for me to do something, I need to get to doing it. You say, is it going to be easy? It might not be. It might not be. Hey, when you start stirring up a hornet nest, you begin to get stung. And the Lord has asked me this year to stir up some hornet nests. I'm in a group of a large congregation of people. And in this congregation, we have some people that have been sitting, soaking sour. Sitting, soaking sour. They can pray. Yes, we have an older congregation, some older congregation. They can pray. They can pray. They can pray. And that prayer will do them good too, also. One thing I have desired, David said, of the Lord, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. Wow. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion, and in the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifice of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord. You want to get in his tabernacle? I got it right here. This is his tabernacle. This is the Word of God. This is the nearest thing outside of what you have inside of your flesh, the Holy Spirit. This is the nearest thing to a tabernacle of God you're going to get. You want to commune with God? This is his Word. His Word. Inerrant. With no error. No error. Written over several hundred years. Over 1,556 years. And given to you and I. This is a treasure chest. This is God's treasure chest. And he opened it up and said, help yourself. These are my treasures. You want them? Open it up and I'll give them to you. Anything you put your hand on, anything you put your heart on, I'll give you for it. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. This is David. He's writing this for you and I. And he's got the answer from the Lord at the same time. And God said to David, I want to share what I got with you with my son Peter 3,000 years from now. I want to share with him what I've given you. So you pen it down so he can have it. I would pray that God would put the study I'm doing today on David's throne. Put another jewel in his crown. Do you know that if you'll study the book of Revelation and you'll look, that God said that he's going to use David as one of his kings. He's going to have kings again. And he's going to use David in the kingdom of heaven. What does that say? The kingdom of heaven. That's a kingship. The head king being Jesus Christ and the Father and the Holy Spirit. The three in one. And then the understudy king. There's going to be a king named David. The same David that was on this earth is going to reign with Christ in heaven, in the heavenlies, in the forever. And we're reading behind this king right now. This king has wrote words. You say, Brother Peter, this king had some things against him. Yes, he lived in a physical body that the devil attacked him. The devil is a sly fox. And he is going to attack where he can. He's like a snake in the grass. And he will come and hinder wherever he can hinder. He will do what he can do to oppose anything that God's got going forward. He will oppose it. And he opposed it in David. And he opposes it in you and I on a daily basis. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. So David's saying, I'm talking to you out loud, God. Please hear me. And please have mercy upon me, God. And answer me, Lord. When thou saidest, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. You said, seek my face, Lord. I am seeking your face. And I am seeking the face of the Lord today upon my life. I have a busy day ahead of me. We got camp in a couple of weeks, big camp. We're going to have 52 children that are children out in the city. Many of them will have never ever had a good experience like this camp, and we're looking for souls. We're looking for souls that can seek the Lord. And that's what we're looking for. That they would be joined to the Lord. And let's see what he said. Answer me when thou saidest, seek ye my face, and I've done that. He said, hide not now thy face far from me. What would make God hide his face from you? Well, Psalm 28 is going to tell us something. It's going to tell us something about if we have sin in our life, God cannot look on it. God cannot look on sin. You got to be 100% God's. You can't be 99% God's and 1% the devil's. You got to be 100% God's. And you'll have an audience with God. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O God, of my salvation. Verse 10. When my father and my mother forsook me, then the Lord will take me up. Do you know that we have hundreds of thousands of young people today whose mothers and fathers have forsook them 100%? I have a grandson-in-law who works in the welfare system department, and he said, you don't even have to fight people for their children anymore. People used to fight you and get a knife out after you or a gun and say, you ain't taking my children. And now he said, we go to a house 3 o'clock in the morning, all hell's broke loose, they're having a fight, they're all doped up. And they say, take these children, get them out of here, just take them. And they're giving their children away. They don't want the children. They had the children, but they had them out of wedlock. They had them out of everything that is natural and supposed to be. And now they don't want them. And these are the children we're dealing with today. O God of my salvation, when my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a path, a plain path. There's a difference between just a path and a plain path. I mean one that's wore down, one that's there. That's this word. This word is the path. Because of mine enemies. Where are mine enemies? Many of them are right here. It's time to get in the book. And I've got a dog to take care of. It's time to get in the book. Well, I need 10 more minutes of sleep. It's time to get in the book. Well, it's just not a good day. Well, it's time to get in the book. Well, I didn't turn the air on and it's hot in my office. It's time to get in the book. It's time to get in the book. I carry one in my back pocket, a New Testament, a Soul Winner's New Testament in my back pocket. And if ever a mulligrub comes on me, open that book, read a verse anywhere in it, and God will enlighten you. All of this book is his path. If it shows you the way of transgression, get out of the transgression. If it shows you a way you need to walk in to be righteous, get in that path. Get on it and walk in it. And this is what we're supposed to do. If we don't do that, then we're going to have a miserable, drunken life. I had that at one time. I know what it's like. Verse 12, he said, deliver me not over to the will of mine enemies. For false witness rise up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. My enemies, majority of my enemies, Brother Peter's enemies, are in his head, are in his life. They're not outside. They're inside. Failure to do what God would have me do. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I couldn't live a minute, not 1 minute, without seeing the Lord in the land or in the place where I live. I have got to have the Lord in my life, or I would faint and fall by the wayside. And so therefore it's so important that we pay attention, that we faint not. Goodness of the Lord is in the land of the living. How do you get in the land of the living? I was in the land of the dead when I was separated from God. I had not said, "Forgive me, God, I'm a sinner." Now I'm in the land of the living. What do? I have to live. Do I live so that other people would want to live the way I live? Or do I live just any way, helter-skelter, and don't care about God? No, I've had to learn. I'm in a learning process. I'm a baby in the Lord. I've been saved since 72, and I'm still a baby in the Lord. I'll probably be a baby until I die the way things go. I had fainted, he said, unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Believed. I had to believe in this word. Get in it. And I had to believe that it would take the place of anything in me that would abolish happiness, that would abolish freedom, that would abolish, I had to get rid of it. Verse 14 says, wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Wait on the Lord. I'm praying God would use me. I want God to use me. I want God to use me up in these last days of my physical life. I'm 75 now. My mother was 96 when she went on to heaven. Her mother was 100. And her father was like 100. So, hey, there's a good possibility that I could have a few more years. I want God to use me up in those years. I want him to put me to work in his vineyard. Hey, vineyards are planted on hills and valleys. They're up and they're down. There are some vineyards, it's hard to get to the grapes. But the grapes are just as good on that part of the vineyard as they are on the level ground of the vineyard. But they're harder to get to. But we need to get to them. No man having a vineyard leaves any grapes to go to spoil. He's going to get them all. Listen to what David said on his tenfold confidence. In verse 1, the Lord is my light. Is the Lord of God of heaven your light? Can you crawl under your blankets at night? I can be up here on the YouTube or get up here on the YouTube middle of the night or whatever. I can go back and get in the bed for an hour, pull the blankets over my head, close my eyes, and it is pure white light. No darkness, pure white light. Man, and just that feeling of being carried away, just being in the freedom of God. Just in that freedom place, as though there's no gravity pulling you. You're weightless, and you're in that freedom of the Lord. This is what people look for today in dope, but they can't find it. They get a spurt here and a spurt there and a spurt here and a spurt there. They have an out-of-body experience, but it's not godly. A godly out-of-body experience is something you maintain all the time, not just for a period. So he said, the Lord is my light. And then he said, the Lord is my salvation. That's not something God just did. He saved you, but that saving was the first part of salvation. Now, salvation is eternal. It carries right on. It's a straight line across. And walk in that salvation and be in that salvation. Still in verse 1, he says, He's my trust. I can trust in Him when I can't trust in anything else. I can't trust in the world system. I can't trust in the way of the world. But I can trust in the Lord. Wow. He's my strength. Still in verse 1. He's my strength. About 23 words. He's my strength. Wow. And He is. Hey, I have no strength of my own. Could I walk out this door today and go down here and talk to a man about the Lord without the Lord's strength? No way, Jose. I can't even drive down the driveway and talk to anybody without the strength of the Lord. If you're working in the flesh, you're not account to God. You're no count to God. And you're no count to yourself. And you can't have peace in your heart and your life. He's my life, still in verse 1. He's the strength and He's my life. I asked Him in, I would not be here. I absolutely, positively, 100% would not be standing in front of you today, sitting in front of you today, if it wasn't for God retrieving me from my last days of headed to hell. I might be in prison forever until I died on this earth. Wow. He is my life. He is what I have. He is my confidence. Still in verse 1. The 23 words. Because His strength is in me. He is my confidence in this world today. And verse 2, He said, He is my protector from the wicked. He's the one that keeps me from the wicked one. And He's the protector of mine enemies. The wicked one has people working for him who will come and be enemies. He is my refuge when from the multitudes. I'm thinking of many things. Walking down a beach with thousands of people who are not following God, who know not God, who care not about God. All of the germs, all of the cursing, the swearing, all of the nudity, all of the stuff that we're walking through. Can God keep your eyes from seeing that naked person? Can God keep your eyes from seeing things going on that shouldn't be going on in public? Can God keep your ears from hearing the wicked, vile hum and roar, the roar of wickedness in a group of people? Wow. He's the refuge from the multitude. He is my help in war. We are in a war. We are in a spiritual war today against the devil. And we're going to do all we can do to keep from him. I like this threefold desire of David. To dwell in God's house until death. That's one of my threefolds. To behold the beauty of the Lord. That's to see Him on a daily basis, every day. And also to inquire in His temple. That's this Word of God. The temple of God that you and I have today on the earth is not just this body, which is the temple of God where He's in, but this Word is the place where His temple is, and we're to be in it. Well, our time has come and gone. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. We'll see you next time. Remember to share this website with others. Thank you. Bye-bye.